Whenever you're writing, let's say you're creating your own universe, you said you don't think about actors, you're starting kind of, something from scratch. How is that approach versus something where you have a pre-existing universe? Like, if you're writing characters for Star Wars, you have this universe, you have characters that everybody knows, and then now you are doing something from scratch. Like, do you find your approach is different for that?
No, not at all. Because I don't know. I don't really think in terms of universes, like or in terms of creating worlds or whatever. That's not that interesting to me. The only thing that's interested in me is story, and the story specific to, like, whether you're writing a Star Wars film or that's part of a 3-movie trilogy or quote unquote original thing like Knives Out. You're still telling a story that's new to the thing that you're doing, that it has to work within the context of that movie. So to me, the notion of what's the entire galaxy or world that you're creating or something, I can't imagine getting excited about creating that. To me, what I'm excited about is creating a 2-hour-long experience for an audience to have in the theater. And that means how they engage moment to moment with the story and the characters that are on the screen. And that doesn't change in either one of those,
Yeah, definitely. I guess.
You heard that clip? I hope you heard that clip. Next on the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. Alright. I'm chilling. It's a nice day off, but I'm always grinding because I got to get up on this mic. And I don't know if I want to call this a response to a particular YouTuber, but it's more my take. It's still, I don't know, I'll see if I'll label it a response. I don't really want to say the YouTuber's name. Bigger guy, of course, and I'm not really big on, I'm going to actually make a name on my own. I actually would love to do response videos to other YouTubers, but the way the YouTube space is and all these little gentle snowflakes, even the guys that say they're not snowflakes and come at snowflakes are snowflakes themselves. Let's be for real, they're special little snowflakes. And especially with regards to Star Wars, I'm not really sure. And the fact that you have to consider Star Wars fans, and you have to have a clique called the Fandom Menace per se, that says a lot about how Star Wars critics is. Let's just be for real. Let's be frank. Nah, I mean, let's leave the bun and let's just be frank. You know what I mean? And if you're part of the Fandom Menace, you yourself cannot look at your algorithm, not even your algorithm, look at the videos you produce, especially if you purport yourself to be a movie channel. And if you see how much shit you have to say about Star Wars, you gotta look at yourself like, damn. Yeah, I'm one of those fans that are off the chain about a fucking movie. Fictional characters in galaxies we'll never see, and that don't even exist. Which I'm cool with. I'm a big, and I don't want to be condescending, because as a person that's a creator, and I'm not talking about content creator for like, this is what I like to do. Actually, I won't even say I love doing this shit. I like talking about movies. Like, I am half that nerd kid that'll sit here and want to talk. I could talk all day with the nerds. Like, my bros would see me politicking with quote unquote nerds and be like, yo, you over there? Like, yeah, man, they talking about the movie. I love these movies. I nerd. I don't know if you could call me a nerd per se, but I really nerd about certain things. Like, I love good movies. I love story, world building. I really am big into that. Like, I'm the type of person that, man, even though I'm not the biggest nut over the Star Wars trilogy that came out in the 2000s. Not that I hate it, I ain't one of them motherfuckers, but then I'll be for real, I'm not a nut about Star Wars. I like Star Wars, but what I remember growing up on was Ewoks. I love the Ewoks movie. That was my shit growing up. That's what's close to me. Excuse me, that's what I used to sit and watch as a child. The Ewoks movie. The funny thing is, as I was getting older, Star Wars would come on. For some reason, I would change the channel or something when it came on regular TV or something. I would never, like, I would watch a couple, like, bits of it over the years. It's weird. You would have thought, for my background, Star Wars would have been a big part of it in terms of just, like, stories. Like, I mean, I'm a kid that watched, like, Sword and the, was it Sword and the Serpent? I think that's what it was called. Or Sword and the Sorcerer. The guy with the 3 swords that would shoot out type shit. I grew up on Willow. Flash Gordon. I love that shit. Like, I have real memories about watching Flash Gordon all the time, as opposed to, like, Star Wars. Like, Star Wars was like, when I think of Star Wars, I don't ever remember sitting down watching it all the way through. That's the funny thing as a child. I know Luke, I am your father. I always heard I knew all of that came from. I just never was a nut about it, and I never thought there was this much people that was so into it. Maybe until, like, the episode 1 came out, and that's what I realized, like, I know that was, like, a big thing about this shit like that. You know what I mean? I remember being on TV, the news, everyone talking about it. I saw it. At least one of them in the theaters. I know I did. Like, the first one. I liked it. You know, I didn't think it was all that. Like, you know, I liked it, though. But as an older man and I'm watching it, I look at it for a lot of other reasons. The story building, the things around it, the character design. Like, yo, I could sit there and watch the first 3 episodes as it pertains to the ones that came in the 2000s. And I could watch this, but I watch it differently. Like, I listen to the story. The actors was just, there was no chemistry, if you ask me, between Padme and Anakin. Yeah, the age thing, but they're in a different galaxy, so I ain't even gonna trip because, like, she's supposed to be way older than him. But that's neither here nor there. I ain't tripping because that shit happens in reality too. You have, like, little boy kings that are married like a grown ass woman and vice versa. I ain't gonna trip too much about that, but I never really hated it with the type of angst that you guys did. So the fact of the matter is that people took this out of the realm of Star Wars now, and now that we're talking about the new trilogy that came out, I thought this was you guys quite some time ago. These motherfuckers were crying. I watched that movie, and I remember at that point I seen all the movies. I actually went out of my way to watch the first 3 trilogies. Liked it. You know, I didn't like it the way everybody else does, but I really liked it. I liked it. You know, I wasn't that lost to it. Like I said, I grew up on like Spaceballs. That's my shit. Even though I know there was parodying Star Wars, Spaceballs I loved growing up. Star Wars was cool. Like, it was cool. It was cool. I liked it, which is weird. That should be my thing, which is the weirdest thing. It's still to this day a surprise that it's not my jam the way it is with you guys. And even if it was, I'll tell you right now, when I seen, what was it? Star Wars, what was it? The Awakening? Wait a second, hold on. Yes, Star Wars Awakens. When I watched that, I felt like it was a rip of the first 3 trilogies. And while all y'all was out here crying and acting a full-on fool about a movie, which I'm not mad, but a movie, and you guys have discredited the 3 that came before it. And I'm not talking about in terms of how it's been numerically numbered now. I'm talking about you guys discredited the 3 trilogies that were supposed to be episode 1, 2, and 3, the prequels. For a guy to argue the whole time complaining about how RIAN Johnson, based on that clip, didn't care about the films. That's just ridiculous. He said he was more not concerned with world building. He was more focused on the story. In other words, would you want to watch a movie that doesn't really conclude. It's just setting up for the end. He didn't want to do a movie like that. He wanted a movie that you could watch it, self-contained, beginning, middle, and end, and it'll end out where it ends. He just wanted to tell a self-contained story. It's not a, it wouldn't be like it's not a continuation, because clearly he knew that. Even if you watch how it ends, they never really definitively said that Luke died. Because we've never really, as far as I've known, we've never watched Jedis just say, all right, I'm about to die. Let me just leave my clothes behind. No, we've watched in the other prequels, Jedis died. They don't die like that. So it looked like he just turned himself to a Force ghost and dipped. We don't know what he did. They will explain it in the next movie. Now, I'm going to preface it with this. I didn't see the next movie. I'm just arguing my argument is against what a YouTuber had that I actually watch. I don't watch like before, but I've watched complain about with this clip, because he's using this to double down his hate for not even just the movie, the director. You guys have moved on from critiquing the film to shitting on Rian Johnson. Now, he want to argue every time he talks about the movie, but remember, I mean, I'm almost positive they asked him about it. I don't think Rian Johnson cares to talk to people about this movie, because how you guys act and respond is ridiculous. And if you look at the reports on the movie, you guys are a minority. Now, was it a film that they would go see on repeat like that? No, there's certain fans that do. That doesn't mean there was other fans that did see this as much. Is it as rewatchable as Force Awakens? I don't know, because Force Awakens, you guys act like Jesus came. I seen you guys crying over that trailer. Like, I'm like, alright, this Star Wars is a movie. I ain't gonna fucking cry over this shit. Like, and then when you watch the movie, it was nothing. It was a total ripoff of the original 3. It was nothing impressive about it. It was standard. I'm not shitting on it. I like the film, but I could call it a spade a spade. I seen the film. I was like, yo, this is not really impressive, you know? All you did was you got Lupita Nyong'o to hand over the lightsaber. She was basically their version of Yoda. It was following the exact story beats of before, the whole bare bones breakdown. Am I mad that he did it this way? Not particularly, considering how you guys shitted on the prequels the way you did. And the prequels were successful. All the while, there's videos upon videos of hate about it, but the funny thing is, you loved it in the beginning. One of my favorite YouTubers will tell you, when he first seen the prequels, he loved it. And then as he watched it, it just wasn't as good as a movie as he thought it was. And these are the guys that make up YouTube channels. These are the guys that are in love with films the way I am. But you started out loving it, and now you got this serious, almost toxic disdain of the prequels. Maybe not as much as one of my favorite YouTubers that I go to see their opinions on, not because I want it to reflect mine, because I really love the way he expresses himself. You know, he is very clear, and he can really, and he even talks about it. The things that he loves about movie critics, or his favorite ones, is not that they think like him. The way they could express their point of view in clear, concise manners is what makes them his favorite critiquers. And I would say that is how I feel about this one in particular, but most of my favorite YouTubers. I like how they're able to break down their point of view so you can see it how they see it. Agree or not, but you can see how they see it. Is this gentleman that I'm making not particularly a response to, but using him as a conduit to make a response to the community about it? there was a time I really watched him a lot, though. I'm not gonna lie, this guy, but not as much as before. And I think because the whining starts to get annoying, because it gets to a point of whining and complaining to the director like he came in to ruin a franchise. He didn't come in to do that. He had certain agendas that he was more focused on. And his agenda was the story. How can I make a self-contained story? I'm sure make it his own, because everybody wants to put their thumbprint on it. So don't say he wanted to steal and hijack your franchise, because let's be for real. By that logic, you would think George Lucas would be the perfect to do it. George Lucas sold the fucking franchise because he didn't like you guys. Never forget that you guys ruined it. Never forget. You guys are the one that made him want to sell his franchise off. You would think no one would know this franchise better than George Lucas. And these are the same type of guys that would say, George Lucas didn't care for it, or George Lucas said this, that, and the third. And it's like, yo, but y'all the reason why he sold the whole fucking franchise off. Y'all berated what he felt was an amazing trilogy that he, as in the prequels. I'll be honest with you now. Before I get to the end of what I'm starting to think, when you look at oh man, I'm on IG right now and I got distracted. I'm looking at a chick. These girls, man, on IG, they be just but anyways, let me get back on track, because I was trying to look to my phone to pull up just some information for you guys to look at, so you can at least see where I'm coming from into it. Because I'm gonna pull up Looper, because the guy wanted to bring up all his films, his filmography, like he doesn't make good movies. So okay, Looper, IMDb out of 10, 7.4, Rotten Tomatoes 93%, Media Critic 84%, 87% like this from Google users. And he basically, did he berate it? You know what? He didn't exactly berate it, but the way he was talking was real condescending. But he's saying, when he talked about, he said he liked to do more talking heads in a small, setting, if you will. Basically, films where everything is all heavily dialogue driven, small contained spots, etc., etc. Looper wasn't that. The universe wasn't as huge because they was in the future for a short bit of time, because the film took place in this time. And you could argue it wasn't as many different locations per se, but if you look at his status, he's batting pretty good on Looper. Let's go look at Brick. Now that's what it was. Brick IMDb 7.3 out of 10, 79% Rotten Tomatoes score, and 72 Media Critic. Not too bad. He's not too bad average, and that's for Brick. And from a budget of 500,000, 3.9 million, he's actually flipping money. Now let's get to Knives Out. 8 out of 10, 97% Rotten Tomatoes, 92% Fandango, 92% on Google. You're trying to make it seem like this guy is not a good storyteller, and he's not successful with his story. So as soon as he hits your franchise, he's horrible. But let's look at the stats on for that for Rise of Skywalker. 7 out of 10, 91% Rotten Tomatoes score, 85% Media Critic, 69% like that movie. I think that's not considered fresh if that was Rotten Tomatoes. But doesn't look like people hated it that much, because on a budget of 200 to 317 million, it made 1.3 billion. It's Billy Goat. Now, I'd be lying to say it's not going down in trajectory when you compare it to The Force Awakens. But let's be serious. The Force Awakens was the first one we see since the trilogy. Of course, you guys was gonna go out to see it in high volume. For the most part, for it to be in this in the trilogy sequence, and I'm gonna be fair, this is not a beloved film on the level of everyone else, but I don't think it's as hated as everyone says, because it still made money. Now, in terms of the repeat viewing, it's not, maybe they don't hold it in high regard as all the others. And I also think that the YouTubers online, that fan community, and these little, well, I won't say little, but these large clusters of, I guess you call, of fans that like are really part of that fandom menace type of thing, whatever that is, where they really want to ride on anybody that, I mean, I guess that, or they're going against anybody that F's with their beloved franchise. Okay, whatever. But remember, you're the same guys that ran off the guy that created it. Who would know Star Wars better than the guy that created it? And you guys are the same ones that say that he don't know what he was doing. To the point where he sold off the whole franchise because he was just tired of you guys. To say that the fans are a little nutso about a fucking movie that came out in the goddamn 70s and ended in the 80s. Make no mistake, I love to be a fanboy about a film, but not to this degree where it wouldn't make me want to go and reach out and tweet the director's no bullshit, or write pages upon pages shitting on the man like I know him. Now, I'm like, one of the big inks of the fandom menace that I do agree on is the over promotion of social politics before the actual story. That is a big peeve of mine. A high nuisance, if you will. But needless to say, it's still a movie. And I would like to press upon this, if you will. I'm a fan of Power Rangers. Big fan of it. Like, I grew up on that shit, right? I've been following the Go-Go Power Rangers comic book joint. At least online through the YouTubers. I'm going to start buying and picking up the book because, to be frank, I kind of like what they've been doing, right? One thing I can't stand is how they're treating the character Zack. They're trying their best to do everything interesting with every other character except for Zack. Zack is a total incompetent person. He's almost there to make Jason and Tommy look better than they ever were in the series. On the actual show. Not to say that these guys didn't look good, because let's be for real. The show was... They gave Jason all the most interesting story points in terms of like battles and stuff, because he was the leader. And when Tommy came over, because he was the Green Ranger, and how he came in, he was just a more interesting character. Not exactly a leader, but everything had to make Tommy look great. So Tommy comes back as Drac, and you didn't even say, hey, let's do something with Trini, make Trini the new Drac, and like she ran. No, let's go with Tommy. Why? Because that's everybody's favorite Power Ranger. To me, it's not interesting. I mean, it's an interesting story, don't get it wrong. But you're using the same old character that everyone, like, he went evil again. I mean, it's an easy plot point. It's cool. It's on its nose. It makes sense. Boom. So I feel like this whole Go Power Rangers book is a way to redeem Jason's character. You could kind of tell that whoever decided to do this was a big fan of Jason, because everything is surrounding Jason. You know, he has the most interesting arcs. He is the most developed. But I get it, he's the leader. Boom. You know, one thing that was an outside thing, which I still not surprised that they did it, but you could kind of tell this person would have rather seen the Pink Ranger and the Green Ranger end up together. They grab her character and do something very interesting you would never had seen before. Rest her soul, the woman that played Trini, passed on in real life, but they done things with her character to make her interesting. But here go the funny thing. They're writing, I think, 3 storylines: Shattered Grid, another one, and it was like the one that starts from the very beginning, and there's one that kind of like I guess happens after Shattered Grid or in between, something like that. They did a story where, you know, Zach and Trini ends up together. But in Go-Go, they go out of their way to make sure that it's like Zach gets his leftovers type deal. That's what it felt like when I see the Go-Go Dre. Because it was like, why they went out of their way to make it look like, well, Jason had to have a thing with Trini first. That fell apart. But then she ends up with Zach. And they don't do any kind of real development with Zach about how that came about. It seems like Trini's more interesting, which is cool, but Zach was never like that in the show. I understand how you guys feel. It's a little bit annoying to me. This is why I tell you this story, this Power Ranger story. It's annoying to me because that's my favorite character. But at the same time, I understand he's not everybody's favorite character, but it felt like, yo, bro, like, he's, even if you wanted to make this comic book version of him, why you gotta make him damn near a douche? That wasn't his character ever at all. You know, he was kind of like the life of the party. He goes out of his way at one point to say, I can't fight as good as Jason and Tommy. He was like, God damn, like, he taught a fucking class, even though it was hip hop keto. It just felt like they just wanted to use him as a fucking comic relief, something he never was in the show. I'm not a fan of it. I'll probably read the book, but I got a heavy distaste with how they handled his character. They did more with Bulk and Skull. But you see how I could talk about this and express my disdain. And this is probably an excuse for me to put it out there about that, because I don't really review comics. And I have to be honest, I didn't read it. This was the comic book reviews, and some excellent reviewers that showed the panel, so it's almost like a motion comic giving you the overview of what was going on in it. And I don't like how they handled his character at all. Like, at all. He is the worst written character, the most undercooked character. It's almost like they don't even care about that character. They use him as a stepping stone for all other ones. They have small hints of what they could have done, like the temptation of making him a Green Ranger by Rita. That was interesting. The idea, but the thing is, why would she even choose him when they go out of the way to make him look like he has absolutely no confidence in his own personal abilities, but at the same time, you've written him to almost be a guy that is jealous of Jason. But yet he's dick riding Jason the whole entire fucking thing. It just seemed like he's they only use him to make everyone else look better in contrast by kind of insulting the core of the character. You see how I talked about this? But I'm not gonna get mad at and look up the writers and tweet them and shit on them. I'm just like, just wouldn't have done that. You know, if I ever was to tweet the writer, it'd probably be more in interest of just asking, like, did you have any interest in writing, giving Zach his own agency? You know what I mean? That at least looked like it's a derivative of the show. Cause I would ask. I'd be like, yo, y'all didn't know what to do with Zach or something? Because it felt like y'all didn't know what to do with Zach's character. But I wouldn't go out of my way to get mad and hate on them. I don't like what they did, but I mean, you wrote the story. That's the point of story writing. You know, they give you the story and you're supposed to not like certain things. I think you're supposed to not like certain things. Because if I give you everything you like and everything is predictable as well, then I might as well wrote your story. And that's not what you came to see. You came to see what they were going to do and hopefully like it. And if you come out and don't like it, but if you still like the Star Wars, then you come back to see it. Don't get me wrong. Now I say that, and I'm gonna also be realistic. I know you got these are beloved characters that have been in cultural zeitgeist for a long time, so you want to make sure you handle them a certain kind of way. But if you ask me, I don't think they've mistreated Rian Johnson. I mean, not Rian Johnson. Luke Skywalker the way you think he did. We haven't seen him in God knows how many years. People change. It wasn't hard to see that. Now, if I was like you guys, I'd be like, I didn't like what they did with his character, but I like the movie. Like, the movie wasn't bad. I don't hate it. I don't think that there was anything about that movie that was hate worthy if you didn't hate The Force Awakens. It was a more serious film. I give it that. A more adult film. The first one was a little bit more kiddish. You know? And maybe the tone you didn't like. Because it was a little bit more of a direct sci-fi film. As opposed to it being more fantastical. And, you know, more I don't want to say Force Awakens was cartoony, but more along that high adventure and action type of way of storytelling. You know, where it's very, they did deal with the death of Hans. And to me, if you could kill Han off, what's the point? Why not kill off Luke? Even though Luke takes the higher premium, he already killed Darth Vader, his father. What would be the need to make him the vehicle for this trilogy where he's not? This is really all about what's her name? What is the girl name? Oh man, I'm forgetting this chick name. The girl. Hold on a second, let me get her name. Rey, yeah, that's her name. Rey. I'm bugging. It's all about Rey. Rey is the Luke Skywalker of this generation. He has now become the Obi-Wan. So when he went off and just dipped off and did what he did, and he wasn't physically there, I didn't think it was a bad idea. For you know, in the next film, you could tell where he went. They never really specified that he died. You could have left it like he died, but to be honest, as a Jedi, I don't know what the fuck you just did. He could have came back in the next trilogy as a Force Ghost. Or since they're doing like 100 years in the past, he could have threw himself 100 years in the past to fix everything. If that's what, for we know, I don't know what Jedis do. You could write that into the canon and make it interesting. I wouldn't, but we don't know. It doesn't mean that he died. You could have picked up and said he threw himself someplace else and rewritten the story another kind of way. But I have not seen, to be fair, Rise of Skywalker. And again, I say that to say this. Just like I don't like what they did with the Zack character in Go-Go Power Rangers. You might not like what they did with the character Luke. And I know you guys have been waiting a long time to see Luke again. So for us to see him like this, yeah, I could feel you. But the movie wasn't about Luke, it's about Rey. That's the person you're following, her journey, her hero's journey. He is her Obi-Wan. And because you don't like how he handled that, the whole movie is fucking horrible. So what if he killed off certain people? You're focusing on the end, the trilogy, whereas when you watch a movie, and this is the problem now with trilogies. When you watch a movie, when it gets to the end, it gets to the end, and you hope the next movie pick up where they left off at. Now you guys want people to write the outlines for the whole trilogy, but if you don't like the first one, what am I supposed to do with the next two outlines? That's why the concept of, oh, you're supposed to have the outline for I mean, that's great if you have a large story you want to tell, but you got to also remember, if the first one bombs and you guys reject it, what do you expect them to fucking do? Because they could continue with the story they want to tell, and then you're going to say they're being selfish. They didn't want to do something for the fans. It's a no-win. But I went on long enough about this. You guys let me know, have I gone off the deep end? Am I bugging? I might actually re-record this and make a shorter version. I don't know. Or I might give you this unabashedly so. But let me know what you guys think. And like I said, I'm not sure if I want to make this as a response to that guy directly, but when he put that clip out there and made the whole video basically trying to shit on RIAN Johnson's decisions, like, and framing it like he didn't care about it. It wasn't that he didn't care about what came before. He didn't prioritize what came before and how they want to like focus on how it's supposed to end. No, I'm gonna tell you a good story. This is a story I have come for these characters, and of course he's gonna care about what came before because this is a sequel. So he's gonna use what came before, and if he killed off some characters that you feel like they shouldn't have killed off, oh well then. He wants to further the story in this direction, and everybody co-signed it. Now, of course, hindsight is 2020. Would you choose him now? No, because of all the shit that came behind it. But I'll be honest with you, I think there was always going to be some shit if I don't grab one of you guys, you all, and say you all come together with a story. And I bet you guys will fight each other tooth and nail over how you would have ended it. So, accept it for what it is. I just don't think that there was anything nefarious about it per se. Unless you could cite it as such. And I don't think any kind of evidence that anyone has produced shows that he didn't give a fuck about Star Wars. Unless you're saying he just came to collect a check. And if he came to collect a check, he would have just did whatever you guys have said. He did something that he was passionate about. Now, if you're saying that his political agendas might have gotten into it, you got to submit a better argument than this clip. And I know this is more of a double down. You're using this as more ammo. But they asked him. He's not walking around telling you shit to say, like, fuck off. Nah, that's not the attitude I think RIAN John. This dude just got nominated for a fucking Oscar. The guy that got nominated for an Oscar, you guys are shitting on. You've had other guys that have said, I will not touch any of these franchises just because of how the fans act. So you got people coming from credible backgrounds in filmmaking and storytelling, and they come and they're not good enough. Not even the guy that created the franchise, you ran him off so he could sell off his franchise because he just didn't like what you guys input. The guy that created this world, you ran him off. If that doesn't say enough about the fandom menace, I don't know what does. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill. Oh, and please, leave the conversation down below and let me know if you've gotten to the very end of this video, if you see where I was going. Do I not have a point to make? I'm just saying. You can hit me up on the Flicks Picks and the Nitpicks, or you can hit me up on my private IG. It's always up on the channel, Nove718, and just let me know. Yeah. So with that, this was good for the first month, and it's went on a little longer than I wanted, but the aim is to have this out tomorrow on the 5th, and from here on out, between the 1st and the 5th, I want to make sure that I'm always dropping a video for the 1st of the month, just so we can at least, I could keep you guys abreast on where I'm at. And as time gets on, these will probably be a lot shorter, because you guys will kind of be, as I get more people, more engagement, more people talking to me. Well, actually, you never know. If I get more people talking to me, I may end up having to discuss. This might end up being more like a town hall, if you will. Who knows? But that's down the line when we get more eyes onto it. So again, if you come across this channel and you enjoy it for any little bit that I may add, like, share, subscribe. Let people know what we're doing on the channel. If you're interested in just the artwork, hit me up too, man. You could just say, hey, fuck this dude, you lame, whatever the fuck. I like the artwork. How do I get linked up with the people that do work, either does this channel directly, or how do I link up and be a part of a community of artists? So if I ever need to hit someone up to get some logo work done or comic book work done, or yo, man, I'm the plug. That's another thing I want you guys to know. I am the plug. I am attached to so many different artists. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking people that do bikes, decals for motorcycles. The summers is coming. I'm talking painters, sculptors, logo designers, like straight up illustrators. I mean, there's so much I'm attached to, you have no idea. So I want you guys to just stay tuned. Great things are coming. Yeah. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro.
Whenever you're writing, let's say you're creating your own universe, you said you don't think about actors, you're starting kind of something from scratch. How is that approach versus something where you have a pre-existing universe? Like, if you're writing characters for Star Wars, you have this universe, you have characters that everybody knows, and then now you are doing something from scratch. Like, do you find your approach is different for that?
No, not at all. Because I don't I don't really think in terms of universes, like or in terms of creating worlds or whatever. That's not that interesting to me. The only thing that's interested in me is story, and the story specific to, like, whether you're writing a Star Wars film or that's part of a 3-movie trilogy, or quote unquote original thing like Knives Out. You're still telling a story that's new to the thing that you're doing, that it has to work within the context of that movie. So to me, the notion of what's the entire galaxy or world that you're creating or something, I can't imagine getting excited about creating that. To me, what I'm excited about is creating a 2-hour-long experience for an audience to have in the theater. And that means how they engage moment to moment with the story and the characters that are on the screen. And that doesn't change in either one of those,
Yeah, definitely. I guess